Hey guys, welcome back to another video, or tutorial you could say. Today I'll be doing an updated version of my original tutorial I did a while ago about how to make stuff in Blender or make a profile pic, but I'll be making an updated version today that is much better, so here we go. First thing you want to do is I'll have the links to all of these tabs in the description. So first you want to go to each of these tabs and download each thing. So you want to download MC Prep add-on. I'll explain what all these are later. So download MC Prep, download Blender RTX. By the way, the name doesn't really mean anything. It's just for any graphics card, not just for RTX cards. This one is for, there's no name here, but I'll get to that later. This is the installer for Blender for a Windows 64 system, and this is the Minecraft Rim to Knees pack for any of the other stuff you may want to add, like mobs. So you'll want to download all of these. Now that I remember, this one is probably the character. So once you have all of these downloaded, let me just download all of these for reference really quick. New, I'll just make a new Blender folder. I would recommend making a Blender folder for you guys. I have one of my own right here called Blender Stuff with literally everything I need, but for now, I'll just be using the desktop as the example. So I'll save everything into my Blender folder I just created there. So as I'm downloading this, Mineways is actually to convert any of your Minecraft worlds into Blender if you want to put any of that in. This one is your character rig from Black Plasma Studios on YouTube. You can check them out. I'll have the link to them in the description, but we'll be using their rig for characters today. It's the easiest and best rig I could find for Blender 2.79. So this part, what you'll want to download is download the Cycles Minecraft rig. Don't download internal, that doesn't really work. Neither does this, so I'd recommend downloading the Cycles rig. So just download it into your file. Okay, now that we have everything downloaded, you see we have all these 5 files here. They'll go out, and so this is the Blender file we created here. You'll want to open it, and you'll have all of your files here. So just first thing you want to do is open the Blender installer. I already have Blender installed, so you guys can just do that on your own. And then once you have that installed, you'll want to open this file, and I'd recommend getting WinRAR. If you don't have it already, you can just use the tutorial thingy. Or if you don't have that, you can just extract it by, I don't know how Windows does it, but there's a way Windows does it. But you can just open it. So once you have it opened, you'll have all of these files here, right? And then once you have all of that, you'll want to go to this PC, local disk, go to Program Files, go to Blender Foundation, Blender 2.79, Scripts, Add-Ons, then go all the way down to Cycles, and then go into Lib. Now that you have all of this, you see that these files over here are very similar. What you'll want to do is drag all of these and put it in. I already have these files in here, so I'm just going to cancel that. But once you guys have that in, you should have no problems. And now that we have that in, you'll have everything else here, and so you can finally open up Blender. So now, just open up Blender, you'll just have it somewhere. I'll open it up like this, and this is what first pops up. Although my screen may look slightly different than yours, but to get out of this, just click on the side of it, and there you go. So now for those of you who are new to Blender, you'll want to get used to the controls. Now you guys can see whatever I press over here. So to move around, just use the middle mouse button for Blender. If you're doing this on the laptop, I'm not sure how to use a trackpad, but I would highly recommend using a mouse. Just press the middle mouse key to move around like this around your target, and then press shift, and then use the middle button again on your mouse to move to the side, up, down, and then you can also press shift F, and then you can move around as if you're flying. With the WASD, you can use E to go up, Q to go down, hold shift and use WASD to go faster, or without shift, you can just move like this. And those are the basic controls for Blender. And so now here we get started. So here on the right side, you'll want to get things set up. So first, this is your resolution XY. What you'll want to do is click on it and set the value to 1280 by 720px. X is 1280, Y is 720. And then make sure this is not at 50%. Make sure it is at 100% resolution so you get the full resolution out of it. And then the next thing you want to go to is go down here to sampling. Change your render samples to 20 like I have here. Change your preview to 4. I'll go through these very quickly. Light paths. Make sure the light paths are like this. So bounces, Max is 2, minimum bounces is 0, diffuse should be 4, glossy should be 4, transmission should be 4, and volume is 0. And then transparency, max 8, minimum 8, and then down through here, you want to deselect reflective caustics and refractive caustics, but keep shadows on. The next thing you want to go to is over here. So you want to go up to File. You'll want to go to User Preferences. By the way, don't worry about it if you have a cube in the middle here. You might have a cube like that. That is just sitting in the middle. Yep, like this. Don't worry about it. Just right click on it. So right click on it, press delete. And then there may be another little thing over here. Maybe a point. Not exactly this, but just right click it again on the circle, press delete, and then delete. And there you go. So next thing you want to go to File, User Preferences, and now that we're here, you'll want to go to System, and make sure Mipmaps is disabled. You cannot have that enabled. I'll show you why later, but if you have this enabled, it'll make all of the pixels on your Minecraft character look very pixelated. So make sure that is selected. You can exit out of it. Next thing you want to do is you notice you may be in Blender Render, and the stuff on the side here may be slightly different, and that's why you didn't see the stuff I showed you before. But you'll just want to click on it and change it to Cycles Render. This is the superior rendering, and then you'll get everything you see here before. Just change this to how I have it here, and then you'll be all good. Next thing, you may also, once you're finally in Cycles Render, go back to User Preferences, go back onto System, and then once you're on System, you'll want to go over here. Right now, it probably says None. Click on CUDA, and this is for those of you who have a graphics card in your PC. So if you have a graphics card like I do, say you have an NVIDIA GTX 1650 or an RX 580 or something like that, just click on CUDA and then select it. Then over on the right side, go to Render, and then change this from CPU to GPU compute on the device. And then that'll make your rendering times much faster, and it is more efficient and way better. Okay, so next you want to go to Add-Ons. This is where you'll add we saw earlier, the MC Prep. So what you want to do is go to Add-Ons, press Install Add-On from File, and then you'll want to find wherever you have your add-ons. In this case, I have it located in my desktop on Blender, and then you'll want to click on the zip for MC Prep add-on. Press Install from File, but I already have it enabled. Once you have that done, you can search for MC, and then you'll have it here. And as you can see, it'll probably be unchecked. Make sure you have it checked, and then press Save User Settings. And then you'll see it'll pop up on the right side here. We'll worry about that later. So now that we have most of the basics done, we'll get right into the process of this stuff. So next, what you want to do is you want to go back to the folder that you have all of your stuff. Go to the Cycles Minecraft zip. Make sure all of this is unzipped or out in a separate folder. I'll just put all of my stuff here. So as you can see, I'm just dragging all of it into a new folder. You got to make sure that it is not in a zipped file. And then you'll also see by the way, this is Mineways. So Mineways, this is what you'll be using to install your stuff later for other worlds if you want that. So just extract it, put it out there. Have that there, and so you can just delete this zip file for now. I'll leave the MC Prep add-on though. I'm not sure what that does, but it's probably interacted with Blender now. Now that you have all of this, there's one more thing I forgot to download, so we'll just head over to that really quick. So what you want to do is so I'll have the link for this in the description below. So basically what you'll want to do is download all of this, and so I'm going to download it into my Blender file that I have ready on my desktop. Download it here, and there you have it. So now that you have that downloaded, you'll also want to extract it into a new file. Make sure that it isn't zipped. I'm just going to name it like that for now, or Plasma Rig. There we go. I'll name it Plasma Rig. Make sure all of this is extracted, and once you have it extracted and you have everything in there, you can just delete the zip file for it. Okay, now that we finally have everything done, you can go over here. You see all of this? You can do that. So what you want to do is go to File, go to Append, and then you'll want to find where the Plasma Rig is. In this case, I have it on my desktop with Blender, and then you'll want to click on the .blend. But if you want a character with your armor on, you can also do armored. In this case, I'll just do armored since it goes for both. And so now that we're here, so go to armored, press object, and then press A, and then press append from library. And there you go. This way you'll have your character. It may look a little weird like this, but don't worry. All you have to do is go down here, click on this, and you'll see on the textured circle, click on it, go to material, and then everything will turn out just fine. So once you have that down, you can also press 0 on your number pad to go to the camera, but I'm not sure if everyone has that. So to do that, I'm pretty sure you just go to View, Cameras, and then Active Camera. And then that will take you to the camera. Then you can just move around normally to get out of it. But so we'll go back to the camera, and then you can also move around by using the camera by pressing Shift F like I showed you earlier, and that's how you move around and get it to your character and stuff. So you can also zoom in, get a bigger view, and you'll have this here. So see, this is normal Steve character, but of course you'll probably want it to be your Minecraft skin. So right click on the tiny little character on the side of his shoulder here, right click on that. By the way, right clicking is to select stuff, so you can right click anywhere to select. Left clicking is for the cursor, so you can just leave that how it is. Don't mind that I press F from now on. In this case, it'll be the delete key on your keyboard, or the numpad 0. That is exactly what it is. I don't know what it would be for anyone who doesn't have a number pad. Sorry about that. But anywho, if you guys want more details on this stuff, I'll have a link to a Black Plasma Studios tutorial in the description below. That tutorial is 5 videos of 30 minutes long. So if you're willing to sit through all of that, go ahead. But this will be just a quick summary of how to do this. So you right click on the tiny character to add your character skin. Go to the right side. Click on the checkered circle over here, the gray checkered circle, and then you'll see image texture, steve.png. So you'll want to X that out, and then you'll just get bones, just open, and then you'll want to find wherever your Minecraft skin is. In this case, I have all my skins here, so I'll just use my normal skin for this. So you open that, and now you have your skin. So now you'll have a bunch of weird eyes and stuff. So right click on the lines here, so you have the character, and then you have the lines. So right click on that, press Control Tab, and then that will get you in pose mode. Or you can just go down here, change it from object mode to pose mode. Now that we have this done, you can either keep the eyes or not. You can control them by using the stuff on the right. This is for the mouth. This in front, this bone part is for the eyes. You can move the eyebrows by selecting the bones and then pressing G to move them. So if you guys don't know, if you want to move something, right click on it to select it, and then press G, and that will start moving it around. You can also right click beside it to move it around, and then if you decide not to move it, just right click again and it'll go back to its original place. But once you have it where you want it, you can also left click and it'll stay there. Another thing I wanted to mention is if you ever make something and you want to go back, go to user preferences, search up redo in the input tab, and I would recommend making this the button 5 for my mouse. I have it on my mouse, but normally the default is Control Z. That is usually what it normally is. So, but in this case, I'm using my button 4 mouse on my mouse. So you'll have this Control Tab, and then you'll have your arms. I would recommend right clicking on both arms, G, and then moving both of them up, and then you can move them freely like this. And you can keep the eyes and mouth if you want, but if you don't want them, right click on the head on the left side, press G, and then move it up, and that's how you get rid of it. And it also is slightly the same for this. I'm not really sure why that's there, but it is. And then if your character is slim, you have a slim design, your arms are thinner, right click on the second tab thing here, use G, and move it to the left, and then you'll get your slim character here. But in my case, I have the classic, so I'm just going to move it back. And that's all you really need to know from here. You can right click on the top above his head, G, move it up, and everything will be out of your way. Now that you have your character, you can just move it about. So move your feet, right click on the feet areas here. You can also select multiple by pressing shift and then right clicking wherever it is by holding shift and right clicking. But in this case, I'll just move it normally individually. So I'll press G, move it. I won't explain too much from now on because you guys can see whatever I'm pressing on the left side here. And so for now, all you know is how to move stuff. But now if you want to rotate stuff, say you want to rotate the head, so right click on the head bone. There's bones for the entire body. Right click on it, press R, and you can kind of rotate it from the camera's view. But in this case, I don't want to do that. I want to make it more specific. So I want to move it in the Z axis. So press Z, and then you'll rotate it in the Z axis. But you can also press X, move it on the X axis, or Y to move it on the Y axis. But for here, I'll just use X, and I'll move it like that. So here we have our character. So now you want to preview your character. You feel like it's okay for now. So press F12 and it'll start rendering. But it's all dark. So what you want to do is press over here press ambient occlusion under the earth kind of icon. And then once you're there, you can press F12 again, and it will render like this. It probably renders a bit differently though. So another thing I would recommend is going down here. So you see the tiles under performance, under the camera. I have it as 128 by 128, but that's just because of the GPU I have. So for you guys who have a GPU, a graphics card, the most efficient way to set this up is you'll want to find out what the bit of your graphics card is. In this case, my graphics card is 128-bit, so I just make both X and Y 128 bits. If you have a graphics card, say 256 bits, then I'd recommend making both of them 256, but in my case, it is 128, so 128 is the most efficient. Also say, you're making this into a profile picture, and you want a transparent background, so over here on the right side, click Film, and then click Transparent, and now when you press F12, it'll render as transparent. But, however, it looks a little grainy, but this is just a preview for now, so I'm fine with that. If you have already finished, and you are fine with what you have, you can go to the right side, go to Sampling, and change the render to something like 100 or 200. I personally like 200 and above. It looks sharp enough for 720p, and it will slowly render out your picture just like this. And you can see it's less grainy, looks much better. And because I have a graphics card, everything works much faster. If you guys don't have a graphics card, you don't need to go over there and do the GPU stuff. You can just leave this on CPU compute, but since I have a graphics card, I leave it on GPU. And you'll have all this, you're done. Also, if you want to have items and stuff, that's where the other stuff comes in. So you're going to go to File, Append, go to wherever your Blender stuff is, and click on Cycles, and this is where all of your items and mobs will be. So say I want a sword. I'll go to Item, I'll go to Object, and you'll have a bunch of stuff here. So go in the search bar up above, and then search for sword. And then I'll use a diamond sword, just left click on it once, press append from library, and then it'll show up right here. So right click on it, you can move it around. Another thing you can do is you can move stuff with the arrows. That makes it more specific, but I personally like pressing G and then holding on the mouse middle button to move it wherever I want. So I'll just move it over here, I'll rotate it, and say you want to rotate it at specific angles. So it's over here, you want to rotate it so that it is perfectly at a 90-degree angle. So you have it like this, press R, X, but in this case it is Y, and then you can do 45 on the number pad, and it'll rotate it 45 degrees, and then you'll have your sword like this, and you can rotate it at other axes, any other degrees you want, 180 degrees, press 180. You can also do negative, and so I'll have a sword, and then you can just move it until it fits your character. If you're selected something and you're too far away, you can also press the delete key on your number pad, but I changed mine to F, so it's a little different for me, but here you go. So move it onto wherever you want your character to hold it. So in this case, I'll just have it like this. And that's fine for now. I won't be over explaining anything in this tutorial. So this is what you'll have. I'll change my render sampling to back to 20 just to make it faster for previews. But say you also want to see it in real time. So you can move stuff and see it in real time. You can press Shift Z, then that will render it in real time, and you can move stuff around. So say I'm selecting this. You can move the character. Of course, you won't see the bones or anything, but that's just how it is. You can press Shift Z to get out of it again. And if you want to make it easier, you can also just go back to the checkered circle over here. You're on material, you can just press on rendered, and that will bring you there as well. So I'm going back to material. You'll have all of this, and say you want to add some blocks, go to append, and then go back to wherever you have your cycles rig, press on blocks, go to object, and this is where you'll have all your blocks. I want to add some bedrock, put this in, and there you have it. You'll have your bedrock. You can just put it wherever you want. I'll have it there. Amazing profile pic so far. So now you have all of this. You're feeling good, but you also want to add in your custom world that you made in Minecraft. So what you want to do is go back to where you got Mineways. So you have Mineways here. Click it into your inside the folder. Then you see mineways.exe. Just double click on that. You'll open it and you'll see you have this thing here. So now that you have this, you want to click on File, Open World, and whichever you want. In this case, I'll just use a dirt house world I have, and you'll have it here. If you also have a world that's downloaded somewhere else, you can do Open and search for that on your own. So now you have this here. This is your world, and you can just right-click it and drag wherever you want, and you'll get this. So I'd recommend dragging this all the way to 0. So this is what you have here. This is normally where the world spawn is. You'll only get a certain amount of area where the world spawn is. So wherever you want to render your world in Blender, just make sure the world spawn is where that point is. and you'll have it here. Right click, hold, and then you can drag the area you want. I'll just drag over this tiny area here. To make things easier for you guys, if you can't find where your little house is because it's all pixelated, you can make some gold blocks, add a lot of them on 2 corners of the map, like a corner on the bottom right side over here. Put a bunch of gold blocks there and put a bunch of gold blocks up here. And then you'll see that's where your area is, so it's probably in between. Now that you have this selected, this is the area I want. Go to File, press Export for rendering, and then I'll just save it to where I have my Blender. I'm actually going to create a new folder. It's more organized that way. So this is just called Dirt House World, so I'll call it Dirt House. Go inside that, and you'll have an OBJ. Once you put that in, press save. Then you'll get all this stuff. It may look really complicated, but it's really not. So what you have to do is just go over here, go to 3D printed relating options, make the model 1000 centimeters, and then select make block each 1000 millimeters high. Press OK, and once the blue line is finished, then you'll get all of that in, and you'll have your OBJ. Now you can just click out of that, go back into Blender, and here you go. So you have your character, you want to add in the world. I would recommend adding in the world first, but this is a little different. So you press File, press Import, go to OBJ, and then you'll want to find wherever you saved it. I have it as Dirt House. Click on OBJ, press Import OBJ on the top right. Just wait for that to load. It may take a long time depending on how large it is. So this is what it looks like. It's a little bit weird though. See, the grass is all kind of broken. So while it's all selected, don't press anything. If you accidentally unselect it, like say it's unselected, just press Ctrl Z, but in my case it's just my mouse button to reselect all of it. Or you can also press A to select every single thing, but that also selects your character and you don't want that. So I'll just have it selected, and this is where MC Prep comes in. So go to your left side, left panel, press MC Prep, go to Mineways, and then press Prep Materials. Then just leave it how it is, press OK, and then just wait for it to load, and then it will do everything from there. So now it is all like this. It changed it so it looks darker. Go back down here, you'll see that it changed it to texture mode. So just change it back to material, and everything will be much better from there. And I don't really want the side panel anymore, so I'm just going to press T, and that will get rid of it. This panel down here is for animating, but that will be for a future video if you guys want that. So now you have your world. You can move it around, drag it, do whatever you want. I'll go back to my character. So this is what I have. I'll do F12 for a test render, or I can do Shift Z, and there you go. You'll have your world like this, and that's what you have for now. Say you want to add a background sky, and it's a little bit difficult to do that outside of Blender, so just do it inside of Blender. Go to the right side, click on the earth thing again. You'll see there's surface, click use nodes, and then background, leave it how it is. On color, go on the side of it, click on it, and change it to environment texture. You'll get this pink background, don't worry about that. Press open and find wherever you want your skies. So in this case, I have my skies located over here, skies. Once you have all of your images of a sky, click this over here, and then you'll have all of your skies preview. I personally like using this. I'll have a link to all of these skies I have here in the description. And for the skies to actually look good, work properly, you'll want to have it as an HDRI sky. So basically the highest resolution sky you can get. If it's not, then it may look a little pixelated and gross, but this is how I have mine, and you can do that. And you'll see here that it doesn't have the sky, and that's because we selected film and made it transparent. So go back down to film, unselect transparent, and then the sky should show up. And if the sky doesn't show up normally in the background for you, it still doesn't show up, you can press N, go to display, and then press world background. And this is where you'll see your world background. See, select it, unselect it, and there you go. Okay, so one thing I may have forgot to add is that once you have your render, say you finish rendering it, you have it here. This is the test render, I guess. If you want to save the image, just press F3, and you can save it wherever you want. In this case, I'll be saving it to my 3D images as just whatever random thing it is. And then save it, or press enter, and there you go. That's how you save it. Rename it up here, save as image, and there you go. And then if you want to save your save file here, you have your world. One thing is, if you save, you can do save as, and you can save it wherever you want. I normally save it in my finished blend files. It always saves as a blend file. You can name it here, you can save. But one thing is, if you don't save it correctly, you'll get all this pink stuff around your entire setup. So you don't want that. So what you want to do is, when you save it, you want to save as, I'll just save it as test tutorial render. I'll do that. And then what you want to do is go to File, External Data, Automatically Pack into .blend. And then it packs everything in, and once that's there, you can press Save or Control S, and there you go. So that's what I have for today's tutorial. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have any questions, just ask me in the description below, and there you have it. So I'll see you guys again soon, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.